What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the Rolling Stones article about the Snyder Cut being fueled by bots. And I'm not here to 1000% defend the Snyder Cut because I understand that bots were very much present. I also am not pretending like there's no harassment or there were no attacks or that everybody in the fandom is just a perfect individual. None of that stuff is obviously true. I think we already know that. But I do look at this as a case of media manipulation. This is something that's already happened, and it's funny because when this stuff happens on the other side of things, they never report on it, literally ever. But when it's something that they don't like or something that has connections to hate that they, whether it's organic or inorganic, they like to point that out. And when you read the article, which I don't suggest you doing, by the way, it's not a very good article. It spends half the time really just giving the timeline of events, which is I guess for those that don't know, it's fine, but for those that, watch the movies, we know the years they came out in. But the general gist of it is, and they don't really provide, they actually don't give any concrete, they don't give any charts. They don't give any data. The closest thing you get to it is them saying that there was one day that there were 1 million plus tweets that had the hashtag for the Snyder Cut, and then the next day or the day after it went down to 40,000. That's the only stat, which is funny, right? Because this whole thing is supposed to be, and it probably should be, very analytical. They do have people that they say, well, we asked this researcher to crunch the data, and they gave us back this, even though you don't see the data. They say that maybe they can trace some of the the servers, a lot of these bots or a lot of these accounts came from one location or two locations, and there were hundreds of thousands of them, so that they have to be bots. There was some of that stuff, but again, for an article that's so that comes across, at least, right? Bots are taking over. Bots are the reason we got the Snyder Cut. They don't really give a lot of evidence literally at all. Again, I'm not saying bots don't exist. They do, and there are certainly bots, and certainly the movement was helped a ton by bots. Okay, I'm not saying that that's not true. But now the added context is, well, you have to remember, and you can bring in the Elon Musk buying Twitter thing. Twitter is flooded by bots. What seems to have been, if you've been paying attention to the Elon Musk thing, I believe Twitter reports that 5 or 10%, something like that, of the users on Twitter are bots. And Elon basically said, no, I don't believe that. I believe it's more. And because it's more, because so many users are bots, I don't want to pay you full price. And of course, there's more to it. I'm not going to go into the whole saga, but this is important because what we're basically learning from this is Twitter, most likely Twitter is lying, and Twitter has probably anywhere between 20 to 40%. I think, there's some people that claim that it can be as high as half, right? But let's just say 20 to 40% of all users on Twitter, okay, any Twitter account is a bot. So that, again, why is that important? Well, Rolling Stone likes to make a big deal about the Snyder Cut, what about a small, a 2,000 follower account that tweets something politically correct that Twitter likes, and suddenly it has 200,000 likes? You don't think bots have anything to do with that? Not a single thing. I talk a lot about on my channels when it comes to the gaming media and the gaming news. A lot of people on Twitter are fake. Twitter is just full of fake individuals, and you should not, I think, go by Twitter as a real life indicator of anything. It can be okay. It can be okay. It's a good place to get in contact. But if you're listening to the Twitter mob, which you could argue, well, they listened to the Twitter mob with the Snyder Cut, so that's kind of a win. Sure, I'll take a win here and there. There is definitely some times that Twitter buildup has helped in a positive way or helped get things that I want. Justice for Johnny Depp is one thing I was behind, right? So that's good. But a lot of times, I don't think, so I guess I'm picking and choosing because a lot of times these things are not organic whatsoever and they are fueled by bots. So to me, honestly, that's the biggest thing. It's you didn't really provide any concrete proof. You actually had somebody in the article say flat out that they believe the biggest pushers, the ones that really did the most to help the Snyder Cut, were actually real people, not bots. Bots helped like make it a big number, but what made it powerful were the real people. So you even had somebody in the article saying that. So the title is a little misleading, but of course, well, I mean, why would the title actually be representative of what the actual article is in mainstream media? Of course not, right? So you have that. Again, I'm not arguing the bots had nothing to do with it. I'm not, same thing for. But here's the thing. And here's the issue that you tend to come under with these things, with like Star Wars: The Last Jedi. When one of the things I hate seeing one of the things I hate seeing in general of these things is that oftentimes if you let these articles and these people run rampant, they can end up just claiming everybody is the bot. And that's something we really saw, and I think, honestly, The Last Jedi was like a running platform for it, like a starting platform for it. And just remember, when Star Wars: The Last Jedi came out, everybody was a Russian bot. Do you remember that? I 100% remember that, because I did not like The Last Jedi. I made videos on The Last Jedi, and I remember, being on Twitter, being on social media at the time, and that's what you saw. Everybody who hated it was a Russian bot. Now, that's a narrative. They're pushing a narrative. But the issue when you say, oh, the Snyder Cut is pushed by all these bots, you're very close. You're on the line of accusing diehard people, real people, of not being real. Okay, it's honestly also the same thing when you say that the Snyder Cut is just full of, it's run by, it's 99% of, it's just full of like harassment stuff. Now the Snyder Cut, I have seen some of these Snyder Cut fans on Twitter. I would never ever talk to them. Some of them, not all of them, some of them, some of like the bigger accounts, just the way that they kind of present themselves. I would never do it myself, but whatever, they're living their lives, right? So it's like, I'm not saying that the community is perfect, but again, you run the risk when you say, this community is toxic. You run the risk in modern day, especially because this is what these people truly mean. This is what Rolling Stone means. All of you are that. So when they make this thing that say, bots, they have a little something to do with the Snyder Cut. What Rolling Stone is really hoping that catches on is everybody who did it was a bot. And also the bigger message is also more important, I think, too, right? Because it's like, well, now, because of course Rolling Stones or Variety or Deadline or CNN and New York Times, like if these things pick it up, well, all of a sudden now it's like, well, these movements are not going to be taken seriously anymore, even though, again, you admitted in the article that it was the most powerful because of real people. And again, bots are in everything. Bots make up every movement. So if you're going to claim, bots are so bad for the Snyder Cut, I didn't hear you say bots were bad for literally anything else. But here's the problem is now we know, and we know this, they use that to then stop it in the future. So now the next time there's a movement, whether it's Ayer Cut or whether it's something else, DC, Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, anything, when it's this thing related, and if it's a Twitter kind of movement, now again, should you go based off of Twitter? Maybe, maybe not. I guess depends on the situation. But what happens now is they look at that and they say, oh, well, because of that Rolling Stones article that was written by a college intern, we know that bots are really completely behind it, so we shouldn't take it seriously. When in reality, no. And again, even if you want to say yes, well, movements on your side have also been plagued by bots. So let's not pick either don't listen, and that's the issue with social media. That's the issue with these sites not being actually down the middle or not caring of what happens, right? They're just a site that you can publish stuff on. No, they're the ones who get to pick. And that's a big thing, politically, right? That really should be stopped and hopefully will in the future. But that's truly what happens, right? Because they will pick favorites now. They'll say, well, bots are, lifting up this random celebrity that's just posting, a political take that we like. Well, that's totally allowed. But when bots are like, helping this movement of actual fans, and, the movie actually did really good on HBO Max. So, when that happens, it's all bots. And even though it's all bots for everything else, we're obviously not going to listen to this one, but, that will let the bots go. We'll just let them go. And that's the issue. That's the issue. I really hope it's fixed. I honestly don't think it kind of will be. But again, what we've kind of learned, I mean, Twitter is, we already knew that. Anybody in their right mind probably should know that Twitter is filled with at least a quarter of its users, and that's tens of millions of users being bots. Okay, I've believed that for a long time. I think the Elon Musk thing is very obviously showing it. And maybe it's more, or maybe it's slightly less. We'll see. But let me know what you guys think about this whole, Snyder Cut thing in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on tomorrow's video.